It's happening. Adults across the country can buy cannabis. People have a lot of questions, so I invited some friends over to talk about it. Joining me today is Michael Lickver from Auxly.
But I think there's a segment of the population that's not really going to care. They're just going to want to go in and get some legal weed and walk out.
Anthony George, a stock market trader.
I love the model like in Amsterdam, you know, where you go in and you have a coffee.
And Tamara Hirsh, a dispensary founder.
But that's not what this model is going to be.
I'm Chuck Raffici, and we're talking the biz. Some provinces are monopolizing the cannabis retail market, while others are licensing private businesses. Which is better?
Honestly, I think they're one and the same. I know that you have some interest in Manitoba, but I spoke with the fellow who does security clearances there, exploring if I would be blackballed just for my involvement in informal market as a dispensary owner and previous dispensary owner, and he basically said yes. And then he also proceeded to tell me a little bit about the model. I guess I pushed for it, but he described it as an experience where you walk up to a wall and you get served. He couldn't give me specifics, but he said it's dictated. There isn't any freedom of design or creativity or fluidity in the store, aesthetic of the store. That's all being dictated. So, I mean, really, I think it is this exact same thing, but they're giving you the illusion that you get to do all the hard work, you get to be the operator, yet it's still a government-controlled, dictated model.
Well, it's certainly going to be restricted, and governments, provincial governments, are all controlling distribution, but some allowing retailers to take the final piece of the sale. I mean, do you agree as well?
I don't know if we're asking, is this a business question or is it me personally?
Good for Canadians.
Well, as a user, I mean, I love the model like in Amsterdam, you know, where you go in and you have a coffee and you
Lifestyle.
Yeah, it's nice and you talk to the people around you. Or you can go into California where the guy at the front door has got a huge gun on his chest, and like, that's not as cool for me. So I don't want that. But as a businessman, I definitely want the government right in there at one spot regulating so we can follow the cash flow, so it's a managed thing, so we can do projections, we can raise money. You know, it's not. This could be a great change for all of us as a country. You know, to actually enjoy shit again. You know, like you never hear about guys smoking weed and like getting into like a fight at a coffee shop, right? But if you're downtown on a Friday night at 2 o'clock, I mean, there's fights all over the place. I think it'll be really good for the country. It's exciting.
Well, it's really exciting. I mean, Mike, do you agree that, you know, whether it's private retail or government retail, that's going to be the same bland retail?
I think that'll depend province to province. I don't think it's going to be as exciting as some of us here would like it to be, at least in the first 1, 2, 3 iterations. But I think there is a difference, right? When I'm currently buying alcohol in Ontario, it feels very different than when I'm buying alcohol in Quebec or BC. I think, you know, we should let private, it just goes back to the old, you know, the age-old question of private versus public, what's more efficient, who should be running what.
There's one thing we're not going to have is, I don't think we're going to have that Amsterdam cafe experience. I don't think you can't consume the product on site. I don't hear anybody on the government side advocating for that.
That's going to change. Naturally, people are going to be buying their product, and then how are they supposed to consume it? So that's the next step.
Absolutely. If you don't create public spaces or private spaces, more appropriately, to consume cannabis, what do they think is going to happen? There's rules, and then there's whether or not we're going to spend money to enforce them. And so I think the government and the police force is going to pick and choose. I think if you're smoking a joint at a playground with a bunch of 5-year-olds around, you're probably going to get hammered for that. But I think if it's midnight and you're at a park with your buddies and you're smoking a joint and you're technically not allowed to, but you're not harming anybody, then they're probably going to leave you alone, which is what they've been doing for a very long time, right? Ever since I was a teenager.
Getting back to kind of, you know, what's better, right? Government-controlled stores or private retailers. You know, we talk about the regulated stores are going to be pretty stark initially, but, you know, the majority of Canadians, I mean, there's a lot of Canadians that are not currently cannabis consumers that would not currently go to a dispensary, that wouldn't buy from a dealer. So, you know, for them, is their decision simply government store or nothing. I mean, in that view, do government stores not just all appear great, or do?
But if they're not a user,
That's what I was going to say.
they're probably not going to be a user.
It won't appeal to them because there's
Like, I
no
just
draw.
Well, there are people who might wait for it to be legal, right? Or is that too insignificant?
Like
of a market?
lawyers and people like that.
People that just wait for something to be truly legal before they use it.
Eventually, it will change. I think when new users are coming into the market, this new model is not going to attract. Maybe somebody might be curious and go in and have a less than ideal experience and not go back.
To take a bit of a devil's advocate approach, I think there's a lot of people who actually won't really care what the experience is like. There's going to be a portion of people that are very particular, and that experience is not going to be great for them because they have in their mind that it's going to be different, or going to the current dispensaries that exist is definitely some of them are incredible experiences. But I think there's a segment of the population that's not really going to care. They're just going to want to go in and get some legal weed and walk out.
Well, let's go to BDS analytics again. And so instead of having an opinion, let's look at facts.
And BS
Number
being,
one,
they look at data in Colorado and other states, right, from retailers.
beautiful. And so what is the number one most important thing to a consumer?
Tell me.
Proximity. Number two, knowledgeable staff that they trust. Rapport. Neither of those are going to be satisfied with this model.
But is that data just from surveying people who are going to dispensaries?
This is US-wide dispensary data, yes.
But it's dispensary data.
Well, retail data, let's put it that way.
Right, but you're not talking to the person who's okay with ordering online, who doesn't care about knowledgeable staff. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Oh, so no,
I'm
I
just
thought we were
saying-
talking bricks and mortar. So if it's online, I think online sales are going to kill it, absolutely.
Yeah. I just think, I mean, I can't argue with numbers. Canadians are a bit different, so maybe the data will look a bit different.
More conservative.
And I
maybe.
cannot agree more that knowledgeable staff and proximity are two for sure. Price is probably in the top 5, but those being the top 2 don't surprise me at all. I'm the same way. I'm a longtime cannabis user, but when I go into a dispensary, I still want to talk to a knowledgeable person about what strains they have available and what's the profile in them and what are they actually going to do. And there's actually a huge gap in the market.
And those dispensaries, are they giving you that service though? The people behind the counter? They don't really do
Not
that.
all of them.
A lot of them don't.
The vast majority of them, I was in California recently, Los Angeles to be specific, they were okay. The ones that I went to, they were okay. There's just varying degrees, right?
They've had more time to develop and innovate and educate.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure you know certain dispensaries in Ontario that are fantastic at what we're talking
Absolutely.
about, but you also know certain dispensaries in Ontario that are not good at what we're talking about right now. They just don't care. They don't hire the right people, they don't train the right people, and those people are hard to come by, and training is difficult to come by. It's
And
not like we have a
expensive.
smart serve that you can just go and, okay, go take the 3-day course and come back. Hopefully we will. But yeah, that data doesn't surprise me at all.
I guess you're making an assumption that the government run stores or even the private retailers are not going to have that great knowledge. Education and bud tender training are all talked about, and so I guess I mean obviously
It's an assumption, yeah.
It's an assumption. I mean can government not train people well? I mean they certainly have a deep budget for it.
For
Can
sure.
they
What was
provide
it,
the great experience?
$650,000 for the
For a logo, it seems like they'd be
logo
able
and
to put
marketing?
together a good training program for their staff.
Yeah, and I think they will, and they've definitely talked about it, and they've made it clear that they want to do that. The problem is who creates that curriculum in such a short period of time, and then trains hundreds of staff. There's going to be a learning curve for everybody. I just think we need to focus on it and make it and ensure that it's at the forefront, because what would be a tragedy is if first-time consumers had a bad experience and then decided never to touch it again.
Well, thanks for rolling with the punches on that topic. Great to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks, buddy.